step into the shadows of history, where the forgotten souls of the Industrial Revolution and beyond toiled in obscurity, beggars, weavers, miners, and servants, each trapped in a grueling struggle for survival. From the soot-choked mills of Victorian Leeds to the back-breaking fields of feudal Europe, their lives were defined by relentless hardship and quiet defiance. But what hidden spark of courage flickered in their mundane miseries, and how did their overlooked battles shape the world we know today? Uncover the shocking truths behind their forgotten stories in this gripping journey through time. Story 1. The miserable life of a medieval beggar. Imagine yourself awakening at dawn in the shadow of a crumbling stone wall, the chill of the early morning seeping through your threadbare rags. You are a beggar in 14th century England, one of countless souls adrift in the wake of the Black Death and the shifting tides of feudal life. The world around you is a tapestry of muddied streets and timber-framed houses, where the air hangs heavy with the scents of wood smoke, rotting refuse, and the faint, acrid temps of tanneries nearby. Your body aches from a night spent huddled on the damp ground, perhaps in the lee of a church porch, where the pious might spare a glance or a crust. This is your existence, sun-remarkable, unrelenting, and woven into the fabric of medieval society, where poverty is as common as the tolling of bells. As the sun creeps higher, you stir, rubbing the sleep from your eyes with dirt-streaked hands. Your possessions are few: a wooden bowl for alms, a tattered cloak that once belonged to someone of modest means, and perhaps a crutch if illness or injury has marked you as one of the deserving poor. In this era, beggars like you are divided by the eyes of authority, those deemed sturdy, able-bodied wanderers who could work but choose not to, face the whip or the stocks under laws like the Statute of Laborers, enacted after the plague to control vagrancy and wages. But you, let us say, bear the scars of a past ailment, a limp from a childhood fall, qualifying you for the meager sympathy of the impotent poor. Yet even this distinction offers little solace. Survival demands constant vigilance. You make your way toward the marketplace in a bustling town like York or London, where merchants hawk their wares and carts rumble over cobblestones. The streets are alive with the calls of vendors selling ale, bread, and fish, but you navigate the edges, avoiding the beadles, those stern officials tasked with rooting out fraudulent beggars, positioning yourself near the church gates, where the faithful emerge from matins. You extend your bowl with a murmured plea: alms for the love of God. Charity is a Christian duty, rooted in the teachings of the church, and on good days, a kindly soul might drop a farthing or a scrap of cheese into your vessel. Monasteries and almshouses provide occasional relief, distributing potaja, thin stew of grains and vegetables, or allowing you to join the queue for the dole at the parish door. But these acts of mercy are sporadic, influenced by the seasons and the whims of the wealthy. Life as a beggar is a study in endurance, shaped by the rhythms of the day. Midday brings the heat or the rain, forcing you to seek shade under an awning or huddle in a doorway. You learn the unspoken rules. Avoid the fringes where hangmen and prostitutes dwell, for association could brand you as undesirable. Begging guilds, informal networks of the destitute, sometimes offer protection or shared knowledge of the best spots near pilgrim routes or during fairs, but rivalries can turn violent over a prime corner. Your meals are scavenged or begged, a heel of stale bread, wilted greens from a garden's edge, or the offal discarded by butchers. Water comes from public fountains, often fouled by the same streets you traverse. As evening falls, the town gates close, and you must find shelter before curfew. Perhaps you join others in a derelict barn on the outskirts, sharing tales of distant villages or warnings of harsh sheriffs. Sleep comes fitfully, interrupted by the howls of stray dogs or the gnawing of hunger. In this world, resilience is your only currency, born from the quiet acceptance that tomorrow will mirror today. But as you drift off, a question lingers in your mind. What twist of fate might alter this endless cycle? Or is there a hidden path to something more than mere survival? You awaken once more to the familiar ache of hunger, your body stiff from another night on the cold ground. As a beggar in 14th century England, you've learned to read the subtle shifts in the world around you, the changing moods of the townsfolk, the ebb and flow of charity with the seasons, and the ever-present threat of disease or suspicion. The marketplace you frequent, perhaps in a town like Norwich, hums with activity, but you remain on its fringes, an invisible thread in the tapestry of medieval life. Your existence is defined not just by survival, but by the intricate dance of navigating a society that both pities and despises you. Every day, you tread a fine line between dependence on others' goodwill and the risk of being cast out as a nuisance or a fraud by mid-morning. Where pilgrims and traders pass in a steady stream, your bowl, chipped and worn, rests in your lap as you call out softly, your voice blending with the clamor of hoofbeats and hawkers. The church, ever present in this age, shapes your world profoundly. Charity, yet the alms you receive are often meager bent coin, a rind of cheese, or a muttered blessing. Some days, a wealthy merchant, eager to secure his soul's salvation, might toss a silver penny, a rare windfall that could buy a loaf of maslin bread or a night's lodging in a straw-filled stable. Learned not to hope too fiercely, the church's influence extends beyond charity. It governs the very rhythm of your day, with bells marking the hours of prayer and the times when alms are most likely given. The seasons dictate your struggles, as much as human whims. In summer, you might find respite sleeping under hedgerows or in the fields, but winter brings biting cold that seeps into your bones. Frostbite claims fingers and toes among your kind, and the threat of hunger grows when harvests fail or alms dwindle. You've heard whispers of the Great Famine decades earlier, stories passed down by older beggars of years when starvation drove families to eat grass or worse. Such tales linger as you scavenge for scraps, perhaps stealing a turnip from a cart or sipping broth from a monastery's charity pot. The community of beggars, though often fractious, shares survival strategies, which towns are lenient, which priests are generous, or how to feign a limp convincingly without drawing the ire of the law. Yet, there's a deeper hardship in the isolation. You're not just poor, you're unseen, a ghost in the eyes of those who hurry past. Occasionally, a child might stare, or a widow might pause to share a kind word, but most see only your rags and turn away. Some beggars form loose alliances, sharing warmth or warning of constables, but trust is scarce. Betrayal for a crust of bread is not uncommon, and you've learned to guard your small gains fiercely. The law looms large. Vagrancy statutes mean that an able-bodied beggar risks branding or imprisonment, and even the deserving like you must avoid accusations of idleness. You wonder, as you watch a cart rumble by laden with wool bound for distant markets, whether there's a place for you beyond this life of want. As dusk settles, you seek shelter, perhaps in the shadow of a churchyard wall, where the dead offer no judgment. The stars above are a cold comfort, and as you wrap your cloak tighter, a question gnaws at you. Could a single act of kindness or a stroke of fortune lift you from this cycle? Or is this the only path fate has carved for you? The dawn breaks over the town, and you, a beggar in 14th century England, rise once more to face the relentless cycle of survival. The marketplace buzzes with familiar sounds, vendors shouting, cartwheels creaking, and the distant chime of church bells. Yet today feels different, as if the air carries a faint promise of change. Your life has been a tapestry of small victories and endless struggles, but now, as you clutch your worn bowl and limp toward your usual spot by the church gate, you sense an opportunity, however faint, to alter your path. The question that haunted you last night, whether a single act of kindness or stroke of fortune could shift your fate, lingers as you navigate the crowded streets. This morning, a minor miracle unfolds. A prosperous wool merchant, his cloak edged with fur, pauses before you, perhaps moved by a recent sermon or a private sorrow. He drops a silver groat into your bolasum that could buy a week's worth of bread or a pair of sturdy shoes. Such generosity is rare, and you murmur thanks, your heart pounding with possibility. With this coin, you could leave the town's muddy streets, perhaps seeking a pilgrimage site like Canterbury, where alms flow more freely during holy seasons. But the groat also draws danger. Other beggars eye you with envy, and a thief's quick hands could snatch your windfall. You tuck the coin deep within your rags, your mind racing with choices, safety or risk, stasis or hope. You decide to act. Slipping away from the marketplace, you join a band of pilgrims heading south. The journey is grueling, your limp slows you, and the road is fraught with bandits and tolls, but the groat buys you a place among them. Along the way, you share stories of survival, learning from a fellow traveler, an old woman, how to mend your cloak with nettle thread or find edible roots in the forest. The pilgrimage brings you to a shrine where the devout offer alms in abundance. For the first time in years, you eat well pottage, thick with barley, and a scrap of salted fish. Yet the shrine is no paradise. You're still a beggar, and the crowds thin as winter approaches. The groat is spent, and you face a choice: remain here, hoping for more charity, or return to the familiar streets of your town. You choose to stay, carving a fragile niche among the shrine's beggars. The routine is much the same: pleas, scraps, and cold nights, but the pilgrims' tales of distant lands spark a quiet resilience in you. You begin to barter small services, like carrying water for a monk, earning a few extra pennies. This is no grand redemption, but a subtle shift, a life slightly less desperate. Your story, like countless others, fades into the margins of history, unrecorded by chroniclers who favor kings and wars. Yet your survival reflects a broader truth: the poor, the forgotten, endured through ingenuity and grit. their lives shaping the unseen foundations of the medieval world. As you settle into this new rhythm, you reflect on how your existence mirrors the slow, uncelebrated currents of history. The groat was no salvation, but it was a spark, proving that even the smallest act could ripple outward. Your struggles, though mundane, echo in the persistence of those who came after, their quiet endurance woven into the fabric of time. What other unseen lives, you wonder, have shaped the world we know today? Story to the endless toil of a Victorian factory worker. Picture yourself rising before dawn in the smog-choked streets of Manchester, England in the 1840s, where the air is thick with coal dust and the clatter of machinery never ceases. You are a factory worker, one of thousands drawn to the industrial heart of the Victorian era, chasing the promise of wages in a world transformed by steam and steel. Your home is a cramped, damp room in a tenement shared with a family of 6, where the walls are stained with soot and the single window offers little light. Each morning, you pull on rough cotton clothes, patched from years of wear, and gulp down a meager breakfast of porridge or bread before trudging to the textile mill. The streets are alive with others like you, men, women, and children, hurrying to avoid the foreman's wrath and the docking of a day's pay. The mill looms ahead, a hulking brick structure with towering chimneys belching smoke into the gray sky. Inside, the air is stifling, heavy with lint that clogs your lungs and coats your skin. You work at a spinning mule, a machine that stretches and twists cotton into thread, its rhythmic clanking a deafening pulse. Your task is relentless, feeding raw cotton into the machine, tying broken threads, and dodging the worry spindles that could mangle a careless hand. The workday stretches for 12 to 14 hours, with only a half-hour break for a meal of bread and dripping, eaten amid the din. Children, some as young as 8, scurry beneath the machines, sweeping up fluff or repairing jams, their small frames dwarfed by the iron beasts. Wages are meager, perhaps 6 shillings a week for a man less. For women and children, it's enough to afford rent and basic food, but luxuries like meat or new shoes are rare. The factory owners, distant figures in fine suits, care little for your plight. Profit drives the mills, and you are but a cog in their machine. Safety is an afterthought, unguarded belts and gears claim fingers and lives. And the lint-filled air breeds consumption, the cough that haunts so many. Yet you endure, driven by necessity and the faint hope of a better life for your children, though they, too, work beside you, their childhoods sacrificed to the mill's demands. The factory is a microcosm of Victorian society, where class divides are stark. Overseers bark orders, their whips a reminder of your place, while the owner's wealth grows from your labor. You've heard whispers of reformers, men like Friedrich Engels, who walk these streets, documenting the squalor, but change feels distant. For now, survival means keeping pace with the machine, ignoring the ache in your back and the hunger in your gut. As the day ends, you stumble home under a sky darkened by coal smoke, your body weary but your mind restless. The monotony of your life feels unbreakable, yet you wonder, could a spark of rebellion or an unexpected turn alter your fate? Or is this endless toil your only legacy? The factory whistle shrieks, signaling the start of another grueling day in the Manchester mill. You, A Victorian factory worker, drag yourself from a thin straw mattress, your body still aching from yesterday's labor. The streets outside your tenement are slick with rain, mixing with soot to form a grimy sludge that clings to your boots. As you join the stream of workers heading to the mill, you pass children, faces pale and eyes hollow, already bound for the same fate. The Industrial Revolution has reshaped the world, turning rural folk like you into cogs in a vast machine. But the cost is etched in the weariness of your steps and the cough that lingers in your chest. Inside the mill, the heat and noise envelop you. The spinning mule demands your constant attention. Its hundreds of spindles worry as you tie broken threads with practiced fingers. The air is a haze of cotton dust, and you've learned to breathe shallowly to keep the lint from settling in your lungs. Accidents are common. A moment's lapse could mean a crushed finger or worse. Last week, a young girl lost her arm to a belt, her screams echoing over the machines. The overseer merely sent her away, her family left to fend without her wages. You've seen too many such tragedies, yet the mill grinds on, indifferent to the human toll. Your life is governed by the factory's rhythm. Breaks are brief, and you eat quickly, sharing a crust with a fellow worker. Perhaps a woman named Mary, who speaks of her old life in the countryside. These moments of connection are rare, as talking risks a fine or a lash from the overseer. Yet, whispers of change circulate. You've heard of trade unions forming in secret, workers meeting in alehouses to demand shorter hours or safer conditions. The idea stirs you, but joining is risky. Spies lurk, and dismissal means starvation. Still, you dream of a day when your labor might earn more than mere survival. The city itself is a study in contrasts. Beyond the mill, Manchester's wealthier quarters boast grand houses and gaslit streets, built on the profits of cotton. You'll never set foot there, but you see the fine carriages roll by, their occupants oblivious to your world. Disease is your constant companion. Cholera and typhus sweep through the tenements, claiming the weak. Your own children are frail, their growth stunted by long hours and poor food. You teach them to read by candlelight, hoping education might one day free them. But the mill's grip feels inescapable as you leave the factory at dusk. The sky a bruise of smoke and fading light. You pass a street preacher railing against the mill's evils. His words linger, mingling with the ache in your bones. You wonder about the reformers, men like Robert Owen, who speak of cooperative mills where workers share profits. Could such ideas take root, or are they mere dreams for men like you, bound to the machine? The question hangs heavy as you trudge home, the mill's shadow stretching long behind you. The years grind on, and you, a factory worker in Victorian Manchester, feel the weight of time in your weary limbs. The mill remains your world, its machines as unforgiving as ever, but whispers of change have grown louder. By the late 1840s, the Factory Acts begin to take effect, limiting children's hours and mandating some safety measures, though enforcement is lax. You've seen small victories: a guard on a machine here, a shorter shift for your youngest there, but the toil remains relentless. Your cough has worsened, a legacy of the lint-choked air, and you fear the consumption that has claimed so many. Yet you press on, driven by the need to keep your family fed. One evening, after a 12-hour shift, you join a clandestine meeting in a dimly lit alehouse. Here, workers speak of unions and strikes, their voices low to avoid the owner's spies. You hesitate, knowing a strike could cost your job, but the spark of defiance grows. In 1844, you join a walkout, demanding a 10-hour day. The strike fails, and you return to work, wages docked, but the act plants a seed. Others carry the torch. Unions grow stronger, and by the 1850s, some mills adopt shorter hours. You feel a quiet pride, knowing your small rebellion helped nudge the wheel of progress. Life beyond the mill offers little respite. Your family clings to survival, moving to a slightly less cramped tenement with a shared pump for water. Your children, now older, work alongside you, but one shows promise in reading, perhaps a path to clerkship. You sacrifice a penny a week for their schooling, a faint hope against the mill's pull. Disease still stalks the slums, and you bury a child to typhus, a loss that hardens your resolve to see change. The city evolves, gaslights spread, and railways connect Manchester to the world, but your life remains tethered to the factory's rhythm as you age. The machines outpace you. Younger workers, nimbler and cheaper, take your place, and you're shifted to sweeping floors, a job with lower pay but less strain. Retirement is a fantasy. You work until your body fails or find charity in a workhouse, a fate you dread. Yet your endurance has left a mark. The reforms you witnessed, however small, pave the way for future generations. Your children's children might know a world with safer mills, better wages, and schools for Ola legacy built on your uncelebrated toil, reflecting on your life. You see it as a thread in the vast fabric of the Industrial Revolution. Your struggles, though ordinary, fueled the wealth of an empire and the slow march toward reform. The mills of Manchester powered progress, but at the cost of countless lives, like yours unseen, yet essential. As you sit by a flickering candle, teaching your child to read, you wonder how many other forgotten workers, their stories lost to time, shaped the modern world with their quiet resilience. Story number 3, the monotonous routine of an ancient, under the reign of the New Kingdom pharaohs. You are a scribe, a figure of modest prestige, in a society where literacy is a rare and sacred skill, where you spend your days hunched over a wooden pallet, a reed pen in hand, and a pot of ink black from soot, red from ochreat, recording the minutiae of a civilization that reveres order above all. The air smells of dust and the faint sweetness of the Nile, whose floods dictate the rhythm of life. Your day begins at dawn. As a scribe, you are neither noble nor peasant, but a vital cog in Egypt's bureaucratic machine. Your work might take you to the granaries, where you tally sacks of Immer wheat, or to the temples, where you inscribe offerings to Amun-Ra. The tools of your trade are simple but precise, a palette with shallow wells for ink, a water pot too. Wet your pen, and papyrus sheets or limestone flakes for practice. Precision is everything. Each stroke must be flawless, as errors could anger a superior or worse, offend the gods who oversee truth and order. Training to become a scribe was grueling, beginning in childhood. You spent years memorizing thousands of hieroglyphs. You serve a vizier or temple official. Your days filled with repetitive tasks, recording taxes, drafting letters. The work is tedious, yet it grants you a status above the laborers toiling in the fields or quarries. A keeper of knowledge in a land where most cannot read the signs that adorn temples and tombs. Yet your life is not without strain. Your back aches from hours of sitting, and your eyes tire from squinting at papyrus in dim light. Mistakes, though rare, could cost you your position, as accuracy is a scribe's honor. You navigate a rigid hierarchy, bowing to priests and nobles, whose power overshadows your own. At times, you overhear whispers of palace intrigues or distant wars, but your role is to record, not to act. As you dip your pen in ink, scratching out the day's tallies, ancient Egyptian scribe, pause briefly to stretch your cramped fingers. The scribal office, a small room within a temple complex, is stifling, its air thick with the scent of papyrus and the faint musk of drying ink. You've been tasked today with copying a lengthy inventory of offerings, jars of honey, bolts of linen, and baskets of dates for the festival of Amen. The work is meticulous, each hieratic symbol drawn with care to ensure the gods are properly honored. Your palette, worn smooth from years of use, is your constant companion, and you wet your reed pen with precision, knowing a single smudge could invite the ire of the temple overseer. Your role as a scribe places you at the heart of Egypt's bureaucracy, a world of records that sustain the pharaoh's rule. You might spend one day at the docks, noting shipments of grain from the south, and the next in a dusty archive, cataloging deeds for land transfers. The work is repetitive, yet it carries weight. Your tallies ensure taxes are collected, workers are paid, and the gods receive their due. You take pride in your craft, but the monotony is unrelenting. The same texts, the same symbols, the same rigid expectations fill your days. Your peers, other scribes, trained in the same schools, share your quiet diligence. But camaraderie is limited competition for favor with priests or officials, keeps you guarded. Life outside the scribal office offers little variety. Your meals are predictable: bread, fish, and dates, with beer to wash it down. On rare days off, you visit the market, where vendors hawk pottery and amulets, but your modest wages limit indulgences. Your family relies on you, and you teach your son the basics of writing, hoping he'll follow your path. Yet you hear tales of scribes rising to greater roles, overseers of works, or even advisors to nobles, and wonder if ambition could lift you beyond this routine. Such dreams are tempered. A scribe's life is stable but rarely exalted, and a misstep could see you demoted to manual labor. The Nile's rhythm shapes your world as much as your work does. During the inundation, when fields flood, your duties shift to recording relief supplies or overseeing corvée labor for canal repairs. Weight of your own constraints. As you inscribe another column of figures, you overhear priests discussing a new monument for the pharaoh. Your work will immortalize their glory, but your own name will never grace the stone. Could a scribe's quiet diligence ever leave a lasting mark? Or are you destined to fade into the shadows of Egypt's grandeur? Years have passed, and you, an ancient Egyptian scribe in Thebes, feel the weight of time in your aching joints and fading eyesight. The reed pen, once an extension of your hand, now trembles slightly as you inscribe yet another record of grain taxes. The world around you remains vibrant. Temples rise higher, yet something has shifted. records, assigns you to oversee a small team of scribes, but it carries a flicker of purpose, a chance to contribute to eternity. Your new role takes you to the cliffs beyond Thebes, where workers carve stone under the relentless sun. You record their labor blocks moved, tools used, rations distributed, hieratic script capturing the effort that will house a pharaoh's soul. The responsibility is heavy. A mistake could disrupt the project or anger the gods. Your son, now a scribe himself, works beside you, his quick hand a reminder of your own youth. This moment of legacy, however small, feels like a mark on the world. Even if your name remains unwritten, life remains frugal. Your wages, though slightly higher, barely cover your family's needs as prices rise with Thebes' prosperity. You still eat simple meals, still mend your own sandals, but you've saved enough for a small amulet for your wife, a token of devotion to Mat, goddess of truth. The city hums with festivals, and you join the crowds to honor Osiris, your heart lifted by the communal chants. Yet the monotony persists, sendless lists, endless days. You hear of scribes who rose to advise pharaohs, like Imhotep of old, but such heights are beyond your reach. Your ambition has softened into acceptance. Your work, though humble, upholds the order of Egypt. As you near the end of your career, your health falters. The dust of papyrus and strain of writing have taken their toll. You retired to a modest plot, gifted by the temple for your service, where you teach village children to write. Your records, preserved in archives, will outlive you, ensuring the pharaoh's legacy, but not your own. Reflecting on your life, you see it as a quiet but essential thread in Egypt's story. Your work sustained the kingdom's order, from grain to tombs, a testament to the unseen labor that underpins greatness. The scribes of today, like your son, carry forward this tradition, their pens etching the same truths you did. As you watch the Nile flow, you wonder how many other silent hands, like yours, have shaped the enduring legacy of civilizations. Story number 4, the quiet despair of a Roman slave. In the mind's picture yourself in the dim, suffocating depths of a Roman mine in Hispania, around 100 CE, where the air is thick with dust and the flicker of oil lamps casts eerie shadows on jagged rock walls. You are a slave, one of countless souls toiling in the empire's insatiable quest for silver and lead. Labor. The overseer's whip cracks nearby, a reminder of the price of slowness. You pull on a tattered tunic, your only possession, and join the line of gaunt figures shuffling toward the mine's entrance, chains clinking faintly at your ankles. The mines of Las Majulas or Rio Tinto are a world apart from Rome's gleaming marble forums. Here, the earth itself is your master, its unyielding stone your daily adversary. You wield a pickaxe or hammer, tools that blister your hands as you chip away at veins of ore under the watchful eyes of guards. The work is grueling, hours spent, swinging tools in cramped tunnels where the air grows thin and the risk of collapse looms. Damp cold seeps into your bones, promising illness in time. Your life as a slave began in defeat, perhaps captured in a distant war in Gaul or Dacia, or born into bondage as the child of another slave. Stripped of your name, you're now called Cyrus or Davis, a generic label for the empire's labor force. You speak little, for your fellow slaves hail from far-flung lands, their languages a jumble of Celtic, Greek, or Punic. Survival demands silence and obedience. A wrong glance could earn a lash or worse. Meals are meager coarse barley porridge or stale bread, sometimes laced with grit from the mill. Water, fouled by the mine's runoff, is all you drink. Sleep is brief, interrupted by the groans of the sick or the cries of those punished for weakness. The Romans value the silver ewe, on earth used to mint denarii that fuel their empire's wealth. Yet you see none of it. Your existence is expendable. Your life expectancy short. Many perish from exhaustion or cave-ins before reaching 30. Whispers of freedom circulate, tales of manumission for exceptional service, but such hopes feel distant in the mine's depths. As you swing your pickaxe, the rhythm numbing your mind, a question gnaws at you. Could a fleeting chance or act of defiance alter your fate? Or is this dark underworld your only world? The mine's oppressive darkness surrounds you, a Roman slave in Hispania. As you toil through another endless day in 100 CE, the oil lamps sputter, barely illuminating the tunnel where you swing your pickaxe, each strike sending jolts through your weary arms. The air is heavy with dust, coating your throat and stinging your eyes, while the distant clatter of carts and the groans of fellow slaves echo through the shafts. You work in near silence, save for the overseer's barked orders, or the occasional scream of someone caught by falling rock. Your body, scarred and lean, moves mechanically, driven by the need to meet the daily quota and avoid the whips. Sting. Life in the mines is a brutal routine. You rise before dawn, fed a scant ration of barley gruel that barely dulls your hunger. The barracks, a fetid cluster of straw mats, offer no comfort. Disease festers here, and you've seen men waste away from fever or coughing fits, their bodies discarded without ceremony. Your only respite comes during brief pauses to gulp water or eat a crust of bread, shared with others under the guard's watchful gaze. Some slaves, desperate for favor, inform on their peers, trading secrets for an extra morsel. Trust is scarce. Yet you've formed a fragile bond with a fellow slave, a Briton named Charos, who shares your language and a grim humor about your plight. The Romans' appetite for silver drives this hellish labor. The ore you extract fuels their coinage, armies, and temples, but you know only the weight of the baskets you carry. The overseers, hardened freedmen, or low-born citizens care little for your suffering, pushing for more output to please distant masters. You've heard tales of the empire's Grand Jerome's aqueducts, its Colosseum, but they mean nothing here. Your world is defined by the mines, walls, and the constant threat of punishment. A collapsed tunnel last month claimed a dozen lives, their names forgotten, their absence noted only by a dip in production, yet faint glimmers of hope persist. Charos speaks of a slave who won freedom by uncovering a rich vein, rewarded with manumission and a small plot. Such stories are rare, and you've seen more die than escape. Still, you cling to small acts of resistance, slowing your work when the overseer's back is turned, or sharing extra water with a struggling boy. These moments, fleeting and dangerous, keep your spirit alive as you haul another basket of ore to the surface, the sunlight blinding after hours in the dark. You catch a glimpse of the world beyond green hills, a free man's cart rolling by, Could such a life ever be yours? Or will the mind's grip hold you until it breaks you? The years grind on in the mines of Hispania, and you, a Roman slave, feel your strength waning under the weight of ceaseless labor. It is still 100 CE, but time in the mines is measured not in years, but in the toll on your body, lungs scarred by dust, hands calloused and cracked. Yet a spark of change flickers. One day, as you chip at a stubborn vein, your pickaxe uncovers a glimmering seam of silver richer than any you've seen. The overseer, usually cold, takes note, and word reaches the mine's supervisor. You're given extra rations that night, a rare bowl of lentils, and whispers spread that your find might earn favor, perhaps even manumission. The promise of freedom, though slim, drives you to work harder despite the ache in your bones. You and Karos, your Briton companion, strategize in hushed tones, pooling your efforts to highlight the vein's potential. The overseers, eager for profit, assign you lighter tasks like sorting or to preserve your strength. Yet freedom is no simple gift. Manumission requires the approval of a distant master, and many slaves die waiting for such mercy. You hear of others who, after similar fines, were sent to harsher mines as punishment for raising hopes. Still, you cling to the possibility, sharing stories with Karos of a life beyond, perhaps a small farm or a trade in a dusty town. Your chance comes unexpectedly. A visiting official, impressed by the mine's output, grants manumission to a handful of slaves, including you, as a gesture to appease the gods after a recent cave-in. The moment is not triumphant. You're given a worn tunic, a few coins, and a document of freedom, then sent away. You leave the mine, Karos still behind, his own freedom uncertain. The world outside feels alien. The sun is too bright, the air too clean. You settle in a nearby village, working as a laborer for a potter, your skills limited but your spirit unbroken. The wages are meager, the work hard, but you sleep under a roof of your own choosing. Your life as a freedman is humble, a far cry from the empire's glory, but it is yours. You marry, raise a child, and teach them the value of small freedoms. The mines, though, haunt your dreams, the clink of chains, the darkness. Your labor, and that of countless slaves, built Rome's wealth, their suffering buried with the ore. Reflecting on your journey, you see your survival as a quiet defiance, a testament to resilience in a world that valued you only for your toil. The silver you unearthed still circulates in coins, but your story, like so many, fades into history's margins. As you watch your child play in the dust, you wonder how many other silent struggles fueled the empire's rise, their echoes shaping the world we know. Story number 5, the drudgery of a 19th century coal mine. Imagine yourself descending into the inky blackness of a coal mine in County Durham, England, in the 1830s, where the air grows heavy with damp and the faint tank of sulfur. You are a coal miner, one of thousands fueling Britain's industrial revolution. Your day begins before dawn in a cramped cottage where you share a straw mattress with your wife and children. The cold bites as you pull on a patched flannel shirt and moleskin trousers, stiff with coal dust. A quick breakfast of oatcake and tea, often weak from reuse, is all you have before trudging to the pithead, lantern in hand, under a sky still bruised with night. The mine is a labyrinth of low tunnels, its walls glistening with moisture and propped by creaking timber. You work as a hewer, hacking at the coal seam with a pickaxe, your body crouched in a space barely 3 feet high. The work is punishing sweat mixes with coal dust, coating your skin black, while your muscles burn from swinging the pick. Boys, as young as 10, called trappers, sit in darkness to open ventilation doors. Their small wages helping families like yours survive. The air is thick, and the flicker of your Davy lamp, newly invented to prevent explosions, faint reassurance. Against the threat of fire-damp gas, your wages, perhaps 15 shillings a week, are hard-earned. They cover rent for the company-owned cottage and necessities like flour and dripping. But illness or injury could plunge you into debt. The mine owners, distant figures in fine houses, profit from your labor, while overseers ensure you meet daily quotas. Accidents are common: falling rocks, collapsing beams, or gas explosions claim lives yearly. You've seen mates carried out, broken or lifeless, their families left to beg or face the workhouse. The miner's bond, forged in shared hardship, is your only solace. You share tales and tobacco during brief breaks, though talking too long risks a fine. Life above ground offers little reprieve. The mining village is a cluster of grim cottages, the air choked with smoke from nearby pits. Sundays bring rest and chapel, where you pray for safety, but the Sabbath is fleeting. Your children, destined for the mines, learn little beyond the Lord's Prayer, their futures tethered to the coal. As you swing your pick in the stifling dark, the rhythm dulling your mind, a question lingers. Could a single stroke of luck or collective strength break this cycle of toil? Or is the mine's shadow your only horizon? The mine's damp chill seeps into your bones as you, a coal miner in 1830s County Durham, crawl through a narrow seam, your pickaxe striking relentlessly at the coal face. The darkness is oppressive, broken only by the faint glow of your lamp, its flame a fragile guard against the invisible threat of methane gas. You work in near silence, save for the clink of tools and the distant shouts of putters boys who drag coal tubs to the surface. Your body aches, your knees raw from crawling, and the coal dust in your lungs sparks a cough that's grown worse each year. Yet you push on, driven by the need to feed your family and the fear of the overseers. Rod. Life in the mine is a grueling rhythm. You descend at 4 a.m., spending 12 hours underground, with only a brief pause to eat a bait of bread and cheese, shared in a cramped alcove with other hewers. The mine is a hierarchy. Hewers like you cut the coal, putters haul it, and trappers manage airflow, all under the overseer's iron rule. The youngest workers, some barely 6, endure the worst, their small bodies navigating tight spaces. You've seen too many accidents: a lad crushed by a tub, a man lost to a gas blast. Each loss tightens the bond among miners, a quiet brotherhood forged in shared danger. You swap stories with a mate, Tom, about better days or the hope of a pint at the pub. Above ground, the village is owned by the coal company, its cottages damp and overcrowded. Your wages barely stretch to cover rent and food, let alone medicine for your wife's fever or boots for your children. The truck system forces you to buy overpriced goods from the company's store, trapping you in debt. You've heard of parliamentary inquiries into mining conditions, Men like Lord Ashley advocating for reform, but change feels distant. Whispers of unions stir, secret meetings held in barns under cover of night, but joining risks dismissal or blacklisting. Still, the idea of collective action kindles a spark of hope. The mind shapes every aspect of your life. Your children, already working as trappers, face the same fate unless something shifts. You dream of them learning a trade, perhaps in the growing railways, but education is a luxury. Sundays offer a flicker of relief chapel hymns and a rare meat pie, but Monday's descent looms. As you haul a tub of coal, your lamp flickering, you hear a distant rumble, a reminder of the mind's unpredictability. Could the growing talk of reform or a bold stand by miners like you change this life? Or will the coals wait forever, anchor you to this darkness? Decades have passed, and you, a coal miner in County Durham, now move slower, your body worn by years of labor in the 1830s and beyond. The mine remains a harsh master, but change has crept in. The Mines Act of 1842, spurred by reports of child labor and deadly accidents, bans women and children under 10 from underground work. Your youngest, once a trapper, now attends a ragged school, learning to read a small victory. Yet you still descend daily, your cough now a constant companion, likely black lung from years of dust. The Davy lamp, now common, saves lives, but the mine's dangerous floods, collapses, persist. The spark of unionism you heard in secret meetings has grown. By the 1840s, you join the Miners' Association, risking the owner's wrath, a strike. In 1844, though crushed, forces concessions, a slight wage increase, a half-day Saturday. You stand with Tom and others, your voices hoarse but united, demanding safety and fair pay. The owners yield grudgingly, but the union's strength grows, laying roots for future battles. Your role, though small, feels like a crack in the coal. FISA step toward dignity for miners like you. Life above ground shifts too. The village sees new cottages, less damp, and a pump for cleaner water, though the company still controls much. Your wife, recovering from fever, tends a small garden, growing turnips to stretch meals. Your eldest son, spared the mine, apprentices as a blacksmith, a trade fueled by the railway's rise. You sacrifice wages for his fees, hoping he'll escape the pit's grip. Yet, loss lingers. A daughter succumbed to cholera, a reminder of the slum's toll. The chapel remains your anchor, its hymns a balm for your weary soul as age slows you. You're shifted to surface works, sorting coal, less grueling but poorly paid. Retirement is no option. You'll work until you drop, like many before you. Still, your endurance has shaped a legacy. The reforms you saw, from child labor bans to union gains, ripple forward, easing the path for others. The coal you hewed powered Britain's empire, its trains and factories, but at the cost of countless lives like yours. Reflecting by the hearth, your son reading nearby, you see your toil as a quiet force in history's march. The mines built a nation, but your resilience built hope. As you watch the fires glow, you wonder how many other unseen laborers, their struggles buried in the earth, fueled the world we inherit. Story number 6, the forgotten hardships of a feudal peasant farmer. Picture yourself awakening to the crow of a rooster in a small village in Normandy, France, around 1200 CE, where the damp morning air carries the scent of earth and wood smoke. You are a feudal peasant farmer, bound to the land and the lord who owns it. Your home is a one-room wattle and daub hut, its thatched roof leaking slightly from last night's rain. You rise from a straw pallet shared with your wife and 3 children, pulling on a coarse wool tunic and worn shoes. Breakfast is a hunk of rye bread and a sip of thin ale, the only sustenance before a day of relentless toil in the fields. The village lies in the shadow of the Lord's manor, its fields. Divided into strips, you work under the feudal system. Your labor is owed to the Lord for 3 days a week, leaving you scant time to tend your own plot for your family's survival. Today you trudge to the common field, ox-drawn plow in tow, to turn the heavy clay soil. The work is backbreaking, your hands calloused from gripping the plow as the oxen plod forward. The land yields barley and oats, but much of it goes to the Lord or the church as tithes, leaving you with just enough to avoid starvation. Spring planting and autumn harvests dictate your life, each season a gamble against drought, flood, or blight. Your status as a villain means you're not a slave, but not free either. You cannot leave the manor without the Lord's permission, and your children inherit your obligations. The manor court, overseen by the Lord's steward, settles disputes and enforces grain, livestock, or even your best hen. The church looms large, demanding tithes and obedience. You attend Mass in a stone chapel, praying for a good harvest and protection from bandits. Life is precarious last year. A fever took your neighbor's family, and famine always looms. Your wife spins wool at home, and your eldest, barely 10, helps in the fields, their small hands pulling weeds. Community binds the village. Neighbors share tools and labor, gathering at harvest to thresh grain or celebrate with weak ale and songs. Yet tensions simmer, disputes over field boundaries or accusations of shirking duties. The Lord's men patrol, ensuring you meet your quotas, and a poor yield could mean hunger or punishment. As you pause to wipe sweat from your brow, the endless cycle of labor weighs heavy. Could a bountiful harvest or a Lord's rare mercy ease your burdens? Or is this grinding life of duty and dirt all you'll ever know? The midday sun beats down on the fields of your Norman village, and you, a feudal peasant farmer in 1200 CE, pause to drink from a leather flask, the water warm and tasting of earth. Your hands, rough from years of plowing, grip the wooden hoe. As you weed your Lord's barley field, your own small plot neglected until tomorrow. The manor's rhythm governs your life. 3 days of labor for the Lord, one for the church, and the rest for your family's survival. The soil is stubborn, yielding just enough to meet the Lord's demands, but a late frost or heavy rain could ruin the crop, leaving you to face his steward's wrath. Your village is a tight-knit web bound by shared hardship. You barter milk for a neighbor's eggs or help repair a fence, knowing they'll return the favor at harvest. Yet, trust is fragile. Last week, a dispute over a stray pig led to harsh words and a fine from the manor court. The Lord, rarely seen, lives in a stone manor house, his wealth built on your sweat. His bailiff collects dues with a stern eye, and you've learned to hide a few bushels of grain to avoid starvation in lean months. The church, too, claims its share, preaching salvation while demanding 1/10 of your crop. stored in the tithe. Barn by the chapel. Life beyond work is sparse. Your wife tends the garden, growing cabbages and leeks, while your children gather firewood or chase rats from the grain. Illness is a constant fear. Herbs and prayers are your only defense against fevers that sweep the village. You've heard tales of markets in Rouen where merchants sell spices or cloth, but travel is forbidden without the Lord's leave, and your world rarely extends beyond the village's muddy paths. At night, by the hearth's weak glow, you tell your children stories of Charlemagne, hoping to spark dreams beyond the plow. Though you know they'll likely follow your path, whispers of change reach even this remote corner. Traveling peddlers speak of towns where serfs buy freedom, or markets where coin flows freely. You dream of such a life, but the manor's grip is tight fines for minor infractions. Like letting your cow graze on the Lord's land, keep you tethered. As you hoe the endless rows, a neighbor mentions a bountiful harvest last year that earned his family a rare coin from the Lord. Could such fortune or a bold plea lighten your load? Or will the manor's unyielding demands forever bind you to this soil? Years have turned the seasons in your Norman village, and you, a feudal peasant farmer in the early 13th century, feel the weight of time in your stooped back and weathered hands. The fields remain your life's constant, but a good harvest last. Season brought a rare boon. The Lord, pleased with the yield, granted you a small plot to farm freely, exempt from his dues for a year. It's no grand freedom, but it allows you to grow extra barley, some sold at a nearby market for a few silver pennies. With them, you buy a new plowshare and a cloak for your wife, small victories against the grind of feudal life. This modest gain shifts your routine. You work your plot with care, teaching your eldest son to plow, hoping he might one day claim more independence. The village buzzes with cautious optimism. Others, too, have earned minor concessions, and talk of markets and towns grows louder. You join neighbors at harvest, sharing labor and ale, and hear of serfs who fled to towns, gaining freedom after a year and a day. The idea tempts you, but leaving means risking the Lord's wrath, and your family depends on the land you know. Instead, you barter your extra grain for tools, strengthening your household's resilience. The manor's grip, though, remains tight. The steward still demands labor, and the church's tithes never waver. A drought threatens next year's crop. An illness claims your youngest, a loss that darkens your hearth. Yet you endure. Leaning on the village's communal spirit, neighbors share seeds or help rebuild your roof after a storm. The chapel, cold and stern, offers solace. You pray for strength, clinging to faith in a world of hardship. Your son, now stronger, takes on more work, his hands calloused like yours. But you teach him numbers, hoping he'll navigate markets better than you. As age slows you, you pass more tasks to your children, your body no longer fit for heavy plowing. The Lord's death brings a new master, less harsh, who eases some dues. A sign of changing times as trade grows and towns beckon. Your life, though unrecorded, helped sustain the manor, its grain feeding knights and monks. Reflecting by the fire, you see your struggle as a thread in the tapestry of medieval life, where peasants' toil built the foundations of kingdoms. Your small plot, your son's growing skill, hint at a future less bound. As you watch him sow seeds in the dusk, you wonder how many other peasants, their lives forgotten, sowed the seeds of a world where freedom grew. Story number 7. The tedious existence of a Byzantine silk weaver. Imagine yourself seated at a wooden loom in Constantinople, the heart of the Byzantine Empire, around 800 CE, where the air hums with the clack of shuttles and the faint scent of dyed silk. You are a silk weaver, a skilled artisan in a city famed for its luxury textiles. Your day begins at dawn in a cramped tenement, its walls stained with damp, where you share a straw mattress with your family. After a breakfast of barley bread and watered wine, you don a simple tunic and head to the workshop, a narrow room lit by flickering oil lamps, where rows of looms churn out fabrics for the empire's elite. Your work is meticulous, threading silk through the looms, warped to create intricate patterns, perhaps a geometric design or a sacred image for a church. The silk, imported from distant lands or produced in imperial workshops, is precious, and a single mistake could cost you a week's wages. Your fingers, calloused from years at the loom, move with practiced precision, but the repetitive motion strains your wrists and back. The workshop is stifling, filled with the chatter of other weavers' men and women, free and unfree, whose lives, like yours, are bound to the rhythm of the loom. The overseer, a stern guild member, watches closely, ensuring quotas are met for the merchants who sell to nobles and clergy. As a weaver, you occupy a middling rank in Byzantine society, above laborers but below the wealthy. Your guild, tightly regulated, offers some protection, shared tools, a small pension, but also demands loyalty and fees. Your wages, a few numismata a month, cover rent and food, but luxuries are rare. The city around you is a marvel, with the Hagia Sophia's dome gleaming in the distance. Yet your world is confined to the workshop and the crowded streets of your quarter. You hear tales of imperial splendor, silk robes worn by emperors, but you'll never touch such finery. Your work clothes are stained with indigo and madder, your hands dyed from handling threads. Life is a delicate balance. The church shapes your days with festivals, offering brief respite, though you weave even on minor saints' days. Illness or a bad batch of silk could ruin you, and competition from rival guilds keeps you vigilant. As you guide the shuttle through the warp, the monotony numbs your mind, yet you take pride in your craft's role in the empire's glory. But a question lingers as you work. Could a rare opportunity or a masterful piece elevate your status, or will this endless weaving define your days? The midday heat fills the Constantinople workshop, and you, a Byzantine silk weaver in 800 CE, pause to wipe sweat from your brow, your fingers stained with the purple dye of a new commission. The loom before you hums as you weave an intricate pattern for a church vestment, each thread a testament to your skill. The silk, smooth and costly, demands flawless work. A single dropped stitch could mean a fine or dismissal. The workshop buzzes with the clatter of looms and the low murmurs of your fellow weavers, their hands as busy as yours. The overseer paces, his eyes sharp for errors, his voice sharp for dawdle. R.S. Your life is woven into the fabric of the city's economy. Constantinople's silk trade is its pride, supplying emperors and foreign courts. But you see only the raw threads and endless hours. Your guild regulates every detail: thread quality, dye recipes, even the width of your cloth ensuring the empire's reputation, but binding you to its rules. You work 10 hours a day, your back aching from the loom's rigid posture, your eyes straining in the dim light. Breaks are brief, shared over a meal of lentils and bread, where you trade tips with a weaver named Anna, who knows tricks for faster knotting. Beyond the workshop, life is modest. Your tenement, shared with other artisans, is a warren of narrow rooms, the air thick with cooking smoke. Your wages, though steady, leave little for more than bread, fish, and the occasional fig. The church dominates your world, its bells call you to prayer, its festivals your only reprieve. You attend Hagia Sophia on feast days, awed by its vastness, though your own work adorns its priests. Family life is your anchor. Your daughter learns to spin, her small hands nimble, but you fear she inherit your toil. Illness stalks the city, plague or fever could sweep through, and your savings are too meager for a physician. Whispers of opportunity stir among the weavers. A skilled artisan might catch a noble's eye, earning a commission for the palace or a place in an imperial workshop where wages are higher. You've heard of weavers rising to oversee guild production, their names known beyond the quarter. Yet such paths are rare, and the guild's strict hierarchy stifles ambition. As you thread a new warp, you dream of creating a piece so fine it reaches the emperor's court. Could such a work or a chance encounter lift you from this routine? Or will the loom's endless rhythm forever define your world? Years have woven their pattern into your life, and you, a Byzantine silk weaver in Constantinople, now feel the strain of age in your stiff fingers and fading sight. It is still 800 CE, but your hands, once deft, tremble slightly as you guide the shuttle. The workshop remains your world, its looms clacking in rhythm, but a rare opportunity has emerged. A merchant, impressed by a dalmatic you wove for a bishop, commissions a silk panel for a noble's household. The task is daunting: gold thread interwoven with crimson, depicting a sacred signbutt. Success could mean recognition, perhaps a place in a finer workshop. You pour your skill into the piece, working late by lamplight, your daughter assisting with dyeing threads. The guild oversees your progress, their approval vital for the commission's success. The finished panel, vibrant and flawless, earns praise. The merchant pays extra, and word reaches an imperial official. You're offered a role in a palace workshop, a step up with better pay and fewer hours. It's no grand ascent, but it eases your family's burden, allowing you to buy a small oven for baking bread and a blanket for your daughter. The guild, though, demands higher fees for your new status, a reminder of their control. Life outside the loom shifts slightly. You move to a less cramped tenement, closer to the city's heart, where the bustle of markets and the glow of Hagia Sophia feel nearer. Your daughter, now skilled at spinning, joins the guild, her future tied to silk, but with better prospects than yours. The church remains your anchor, its rituals ground you, though you question its wealth as you weave for its priests. Illness still threatens. A fever sweeps the quarter, sparing your family but claiming Anna's. You honor her by teaching her son a few weaving tricks, a small act of community in a city of millions. As you age, you train younger weavers, your knowledge a quiet legacy. The silks you crafted adorn churches and nobles, their beauty outliving you, though your name fades. Reflecting by your hearth, you see your life as a single thread in Byzantium's vast tapestry, your toil sustaining its splendor. The empire's silks, born of countless hands like yours, clothed emperors and bound trade across continents. Your small rise, from workshop to palace, mirrors the resilience of artisans who wove beauty from drudgery. As you watch your daughter weave, her hands swift, you wonder how many other unseen craftsmen, their lives lost to time, wove the fabric of empires. Story number 8. The silent suffering of an industrial revolution. Seamstress, picture yourself in a dim, crowded garret in London's East End around 1850, where the air is thick with dust and the faint smell of candle wax. You are a seamstress, one of countless women stitching the garments that clothe Britain's growing middle class during the Industrial Revolution. Your day begins at dawn in a cramped room shared with other workers, your bed a thin pallet on a creaking floor. After a breakfast of weak tea and a crust of bread, you settle at a rickety table, needle and thread in hand, to begin the endless task of sewing shirts or dresses for a merchant's order. Your workplace is a sweatshop, a narrow space packed with women hunched over piles of fabric, their needles flashing in the dim light of a single window. You stitch slop work, cheap clothing for the masses, each piece paid by the dozen, earning you perhaps 2 shillings a week. The work is relentless. You sew for 14 hours a day, your fingers pricked raw, your eyes straining in the gloom. The overseer, a sharp-tongued woman, hovers nearby, docking pay for crooked seams or slow hands. The room is stifling in summer, freezing in winter, and the constant coughs around you hint at consumption spreading among the workers. As a seamstress, you're part of the unseen army fueling London's garment trade. Factories churn out cloth, but hand sewing like yours remains vital for cheap goods. Your wages barely cover rent and gruel, leaving no room for illness or rest. Many women, desperate, turn to piecework at home, but you stay in the sweatshop for its steady, if meager, pay. The city around you buzzes with wealth, carriages rattle through Mayfair, shops gleam with ready-made dresses, but your world is one of threadbare shawls and hunger. You've heard of reformers like Charles Dickens exposing the plight of workers, but their words seem distant, drowned by the clatter of needles. Life offers little beyond work. Sundays bring a brief respite at church, where you pray for strength, but the rest of the week is a blur of stitches. Your hands, once nimble, now ache with rheumatism, and you fear the day they fail you. The other seamstresses share your struggle, swapping tales of better days or tips for faster stitching, but despair hangs heavy. As you sew another shirt, the candle flickering low, a question gnaws at you. Could a stroke of luck or a collective stand change this grueling life, or will the needle's rhythm forever bind you? The faint light of a tallow candle casts shadows across the sweatshop in London's East End, where you, a seamstress in 1850, sit hunched over a pile of coarse linen, your needle darting through fabric. The air is heavy with the scent of unwashed bodies and damp wool, and the hum of quiet chatter among the women barely masks the ache in your fingers. You're stitching men's shirts, each seam a race against the overseer's demands for more pieces, faster work. Your eyes burn from hours of squinting, and the cold seeps through the garret's cracked walls, chilling your bones as winter looms. Your life is a cycle of endless sewing. You rise at 5 a.m., gulping tea before joining the other seamstresses. Some as young as 14, their faces pale from hunger and exhaustion. The sweatshop is a grim sisterhood. Women like Mary, a widow, share scraps of bread or tricks for hiding flaws in fabric to avoid penalties. The pay, piece rate, and pitiful, forces you to work past midnight, your hands trembling as you thread the needle. A single shirt might earn a penny, and a dozen are needed to afford a loaf of bread. Illness is a constant threat. Consumption claims many, and you've seen girls carried out, too weak to sew. The city beyond the garret pulses with the industrial revolutions. Energy factories roar, shops brim with goods, but you're trapped in its underbelly. The garment trade thrives on your labor, supplying cheap clothes to clerks and shopgirls. Yet you can't afford the dresses you stitch. Whispers of reform reach you, pamphlets about sweated labor circulate, and a preacher at church speaks of charity for the poor. Some seamstresses talk of banding together, refusing work until wages rise, but such ideas are dangerous. The overseer has spies, and dismissal means starvation, or worse, the workhouse's grim shadow. Your only solace is small moments, a shared laugh with Mary, a hymn sung softly during a break, or a rare walk to the market, where you glimpse a world of color and plenty you'll never touch. Your sister, living in the country, urges you to join her, but leaving means abandoning the sweatshop's meager security. As you stitch another seam, the candle sputtering, you hear of a seamstress who caught a shopkeeper's eye with her fine work, earning a better job. Could such a chance or a bold act of defiance lift you from this toil? Or will the needle's endless pricks forever mark your days? Years of stitching have left their mark on you, a seamstress in 1850s London. Your fingers gnarled and eyes dim from countless hours of needlework. The sweatshop remains your world, its crowded tables and flickering candles unchanged. But a small break comes unexpectedly. A dress you sewed with delicate embroidery catches the eye of a West End shopkeeper. Impressed, she offers you piecework for finer garments, ladies' dresses, not slop shirts, paying a shilling more per piece. It's no fortune, but it lets you move to a quieter room, shared with fewer workers, where you sew by daylight, easing your eyes' strain. This modest rise changes little, but means everything. The extra coins buy better food, potatoes, a bit of mutton, and a shawl for your sister, who joins you in the city. You teach her to sew, hoping she avoid the worst sweatshops. The work remains grueling, 12-hour days bending your back, but the finer fabrics and higher pay bring a flicker of pride. You join a small group of seamstresses, meeting secretly to discuss better wages. The effort falters, spies betray you, and the overseer cuts your hours as punishment, but the act of speaking out plants a seed. By the 1860s, early trade unions form, and you hear of women demanding fair pay, their voices echoing your own. Life beyond the needle offers slim solace. Your room, though less damp, is still cold, and consumption stalks the city. Mary succumbs, her cough silencing her laughter. You attend her funeral, a pauper's grave, vowing to keep her memory in shared stories with newer workers. Sundays at church remain your refuge, the hymns a brief escape, but the week's toil always returns. You save a few pennies, dreaming of a shop of your own, but the dream fades against the reality of rent and hunger. Still, your sister's skill grows, and you hope she'll find a better path. As age slows your hands, you take on simpler tasks, teaching younger girls your knowledge, a quiet legacy. The dresses you stitched clothe the growing middle class, but your name is forgotten, lost in the Industrial Revolution's churn. Reflecting by a candle's glow, you see your life as a single thread in Britain's vast economic weave, your labor enabling its wealth, the small gains you fought for better pay, a voice ripple forward, shaping a world where workers slowly claim rights. As you watch your sister sew her stitches neater than yours ever were, you wonder how many other women, their struggles silent, stitched the fabric of progress. Story number 9, the relentless labor of an Inca quarry worker. Imagine yourself rising before dawn in the Andean highlands near Cusco, around 1450 CE, where the air is thin and sharp with the chill of altitude. You are a quarry worker in the Inca Empire, tasked with cutting stone for the empire's grand temples and fortresses. Your home is a modest stone hut with a thatched roof, shared with your family, where you sleep on a reed mat. After a breakfast of quinoa porridge and coca leaves to dull hunger and fatigue, you pull on a woven alpaca tunic and sandals, then join a line of workers trekking to the quarry under the shadow of towering peaks. The quarry, a vast scar in the mountainside, hums with activity as you wield a stone hammer and chisel, cutting blocks of granite or andesite for structures like Sexahaman. The work is grueling, your arms ache from striking stone, and dust coats your lungs, making each breath heavy. You labor under the watchful eyes of overseers, Inca nobles, who ensure quotas are met for the Sapa Inca's projects. The stones, some weighing tons, must be perfect, shaped with precision to fit without mortar. You and your fellow workers, mostly, your back straining under the weight. As a commoner, your life is bound to the Inca's rigid system. The Mita demands months of service each year, leaving little time to tend your own fields of maize and potatoes. Your labor feeds the empire's glory, but you see no reward beyond survival. Meals are simple boiled tubers, perhaps dried llama meat tanned. Water comes from a nearby stream. The community, or Elu, is your strength. Neighbors share tools and labor, and you sing work songs to ease the toil. Yet the empire's demands are relentless, and failure to meet quotas risks punishment or loss of land. The Andes shape your world, its peaks sacred, its seasons dictating your tasks. You honor Inti, the sun god, with offerings of coca, praying for strength and good harvests. At night, by the fire's glow, you hear tales of the Inca's divine rule, but your own life feels small, tied to the quarry's endless stones. As you chip away at a block, the rhythm numbing your mind, a question lingers. Could a rare favor from an overseer or a bountiful season ease your burden? Or will this labor forever anchor you to the mountain? The midday sun burns high above the Andean quarry near Cusco, and you, an Inca quarry worker in 1450 CE, pause to chew coca leaves, their bitter taste dulling the ache in your shoulders. The granite block before you, half-shaped, demands hours more of chiseling to meet the overseer's standards for the Sapa Inca's temple. The quarry echoes with the clink of stone tools and the grunts of workers. their faces streaked with sweat and dust. You work alongside men from your ilu, your community bound by shared labor. But the overseer's sharp commands keep you focused, his staff a threat for any who's slow. Your life revolves around the mita, the labor tax that pulls you from your fields to serve the empire. Months spent cutting and hauling stone leave your own crops neglected, forcing your wife and children to tend them alone. The quarry is a world of precision. Each block must interlock perfectly, a marvel of Inca engineering. But the cost is your body's wear. Your hands, scarred from chisels, bleed often, and the thin air makes breathing a labor of its own. Meals are sparse maize, cakes, and chicha, a fermented corn drinken quickly in the shade of a rock. Injuries are common. A misaimed hammer can crush a finger, and you've seen men limp away, unfit for work, their families left to beg. The Inca system is unyielding but communal. Your ilu shares burdens, helping to drag massive stones or repair tools, and you repay them with labor. In their fields, the empire provides rations and cloth, but only enough to survive. You hear of nobles in Cusco, their palaces built with your stones, yet you'll never see their splendor. Religion binds you. Offerings to Inti and Pachamama are woven into your days, and you join festivals to honor the sun, dancing in woven masks. But the quarry's demands always return, and the threat of drought or frost looms over your family's plot. Whispers of favors stir among the workers. A skilled quarryman might earn the overseer's notice, perhaps gaining extra rations or a lighter task. As you shape another block, the mountains weight heavy on your spirit. You wonder, could a masterful stone or a stroke of luck lift you from this toil? Or will the quarry's endless demands forever bind you to its dust? Years of toil have weathered you. An Inca quarry worker near Cusco in 1450 CE. Your hands gnarled and back bowed from shaping stones for the empire's glory. The quarry remains your world, its dust a constant in your lungs. But a rare moment shifts your path. A block you carved, perfectly fitted for a temple wall, earns the overseer's praise. Impressed, he assigns you to oversee a small team hauling stones to Cusco, a role with less strain and extra rations, potatoes, quinoa, even a strip of alpaca meat. It's no escape from meta, but it eases the grind, letting you save strength for your family's fields. This small rise brings hope. You teach your son to chisel, hoping he'll inherit your skill and perhaps a better role. The ilu remains. Your lifeline neighbors help you terrace a new plot, and you share coca during breaks, singing to Inti for strength. The work is still hard. You guide sledges down treacherous paths, ensuring stones reach the city intact. A mistake could cost lives, and the overseer's favor is fickle. Others have been demoted for less. Yet, you savor the chance to see Cusco's rising walls. Your stones part of its splendor, even if your name will never be known. Life beyond the quarry is fragile. A good harvest lets you store extra maize, but a drought threatens and illness fells a neighbor's child, reminding you of mortality. Festivals to Pachamama offer joy drums, dances, and chichaboot. The empire's demands loom. You hear of distant rebellions, tribes resisting Inca rule, but such defiance feels impossible here. Your wife weaves cloth for the empire, her hands as worn as yours, and you dream of a day your children might work less for others. The new role brings a small surplus, enough for a woven blanket, a token of comfort. As age slows you, you pass more tasks to your son, now a skilled worker. The empire grows, its temples and roads a testament to your labor, but you remain a commoner, your life unrecorded, reflecting by a fire, the Andes looming dark. You see your toil as a stone in the Inca's vast foundation, your small gains a flicker of resilience. The empire's glory, built on countless hands like yours, will endure, but your story fades into the mountains. Story number 10, the grueling life of a Han dynasty rice farmer. Imagine yourself rising in the pre-dawn chill of a rural village in the Yellow River Valley, China. During the Han dynasty, around 100 CEU, are a rice farmer, one of millions sustaining the empire's growing population. Your home is a mud-walled hut with a thatched roof, where you sleep on a straw mat beside your wife and children. After a breakfast of millet porridge and pickled vegetables, you don a coarse hemp tunic and straw sandals, then head to the flooded paddy fields, a hoe slung over your shoulder as the first light touches the misty horizon. The fields, carved into terraces, are your life's work. You wade knee-deep in muddy water, planting or tending rice under the watchful eye of a local official who ensures your tribute to the emperor is met. The labor is back-breaking bending to plant seedlings, clearing weeds, or repairing irrigation ditches that channel water from the river. Your hands are rough, your back aches, and leeches cling to your legs, but stopping risks a poor harvest. The Han's agricultural system depends on your rice to feed cities and armies, yet most of your yield goes to taxes, leaving just enough for your family to survive. As a peasant, your status is low, bound to the land by the emperor's laws and the whims of landlords. You own a small plot, but much of your labor serves a wealthy estate, repaying debts or fulfilling corvée duties, like building roads. The village is your world. Neighbors share tools and labor, but disputes over water or land spark tensions. Famine and floods are constant threats. Last year's drought left many hungry, and you pray to the ancestors for rain. Meals are simple: beans and fish, when you're lucky, eaten quickly before returning to the fields. The empire's grandeur, with its silk roads and bustling Chang'an, is a distant tale. You hear of scholars and officials, but your life is tied to the soil. Festivals to the earth gods offer brief respite with rice, wine, and drums, but the fields call you back. As you plant another seedling, the mud sucking at your feet, a question lingers: could a bountiful harvest or a rare act of mercy from an official ease your toil? Or will this cycle of labor forever tie you to the earth? The sun climbs high over the Yellow River Valley, and you, a Han Dynasty rice farmer in 100 CE, pause to wipe sweat from your brow, your feet sunk in the muddy paddy. The rice seedlings, delicate and green, demand constant care, weeding, watering, guarding against pests. You wield a bamboo hoe, clearing debris from an irrigation channel, the work made harder by the sticky heat. The fields stretch endlessly, a patchwork of plots owned by your village and the landlord, whose overseer paces nearby, tallying your output for the emperor's granaries. A single misstep, like flooding a neighbor's plot. The corvée labor pulls you from your fields to repair dikes or haul grain, leaving your wife and children to manage alone. Taxes claim half your harvest, paid in rice or cloth, and debts to the landlord trap you further. Meals are meager boiled rice with wild greens, sometimes a scrap of dried fish shared in silence to conserve energy. The village, your Elu-like community, binds you to neighbors. You help each other, terrace fields or mend roofs, but quarrels over water rights flare. Last month, a dispute led to a family losing their plot, a warning of the landlord's power beyond the fields. Life is sparse. Your children, too young for heavy work, gather firewood or scare birds, their futures tied to the same toil. Illness stalks the village, malaria from the paddies claims lives, and you rely on herbal brews and prayers to ancestors for protection. Festivals, like the Lunar New Year, bring rare joy dumplings, lanterns, and songs, but the work resumes at dawn. You hear of Chang'an's markets, where silk and jade flow, but such wealth is unimaginable. The emperor's officials, clad in fine robes, pass through their lives, a world apart from your mud-stained existence. Hope flickers in small ways. A neighbor once won favor with an official, earning a tax reduction for a bumper crop as your share. Stories with a friend, Lee, about such luck, or tales of peasants who fled to cities, though runaways risk capture. As you tend the rice, the sun burning your neck, you dream of a harvest so plentiful it frees you from debt. Could such fortune or a bold plea to an official lighten your burden, or will the paddy's endless demands keep you bound to this muddy grind? Decades of labor have worn you down, a Han Dynasty rice farmer in the Yellow River Valley, your body bent and hands rough from years in the paddies. It is still 100 CE, but your strength fades, and the muddy fields feel heavier underfoot. Yet, a rare stroke of fortune shifts your path. A bountiful harvest, the best in years, catches the eye of a local official. Impressed, he reduces your family's tax burden for a season, granting you extra rice to store and a small plot to farm freely. It's no grand freedom, but it means fuller meals and a chance to repair your hut's crumbling walls. This small gain ripples through your life. You teach your eldest son to manage irrigation, hoping he'll master the fields better than you. The village remains your anchor. Neighbors help you terrace the new plot, and you share seeds with Lee, whose own harvest faltered. The work is still grueling. You wade through paddies, maintaining dikes, and corvée duties pull you to repair roads for the empire. The landlord's demands persist, but the extra rice lets you barter for a new hoe and a blanket for your wife. Whispers of rebellion stir in distant provinces, but here, obedience is safer, and you focus on survival. Life beyond the fields is fragile. A flood threatens next season's crop, and illness claims a neighbor, leaving you to offer maize at their ancestral shrine. Festivals to the earth gods bring brief joy drums, rice wine, and dances, but your children, now working the fields, face the same toil, though you teach them numbers, hoping they'll navigate taxes or markets. The empire's wealth grows, its cities fed by your rice, but you remain a peasant, your life unrecorded. A new official, kinder than most, hints at further tax relief if yields stay high. A faint hope as age slows you. You lean on your son, his hands steadier than yours. The rice you grew sustains the Han's armies and scholars. but your name fades into the soil. Reflecting by a fire, the rivers murmur in the distance. You see your labor as a root in the empire's foundation, your small gains a testament to endurance. The fields, worked by countless hands like yours, built a civilization, though your story remains untold. As you watch your son plant seedlings, his movements sure, you wonder how many other farmers, their lives lost to time, sowed the seeds of empires. Story number 11. The arduous life of a medieval European blacksmith. Picture yourself in a bustling village in medieval England, around 1300 CE, where the air carries the temps of charcoal and molten iron. You are a blacksmith, a vital craftsman forging tools and weapons that sustain the village's life. Your day begins at dawn in a small timber-framed house, its walls blackened by soot from your forge next door. After a breakfast of coarse bread and ale, you don a leather apron, scarred from sparks, and head to your workshop, where the forge's glow awaits. Casting shadows on stone walls, the forge is your world, a cramped space filled with the roar of bellows and the clang of hammer on anvil. You shape iron into horseshoes, plowshares, and nails, your arms straining with each strike. The heat is relentless, sweat soaking your tunic as you work, metal heated to a glowing red. Your tools, hammer, tongs, and chisel are extensions of your hands, but a single mistrike can ruin a piece, wasting costly iron. The village depends on you. Farmers need plowshares, knights need sword repairs, and every nail holds together homes and carts. You labor alone or with an apprentice, a boy learning your craft, his small hands pumping the bellows. As a blacksmith, you hold a respected but grueling role. Your guild ensures quality and fair prices, but you're bound by its rules and fees. Your wages, earned per piece or repair, by food and fuel, but luxuries are rare. The village is your community. Neighbors barter grain or eggs for your work, and you join them at the alehouse on market days. Yet life is precarious. A fire could destroy your forge, or illness could halt your work. The church looms large, demanding tithes and attendance at Mass, where you pray for strength and safety from burns. The feudal lord, whose castle overlooks the village, commissions weapons and expects prompt service. His steward haggles over prices, squeezing your earnings. You hear tales of distant cities like London, where master smiths craft for kings, but your life is tied to this anvil. As you hammer a glowing horseshoe, the rhythm steady but exhausting, a question lingers. Could a fine commission or a stroke of fortune elevate your craft? Or will the forge's endless heat forever define your days? The midday sun filters through the open door of your forge in medieval England, 1300 CE, and you, a blacksmith, pause to gulp water from a wooden cup, your face streaked with soot. The anvil rings as you shape a plowshare, each hammer blow jarring your shoulders. The forge's heat is stifling, the air thick with smoke and the sharp scent of heated iron. Your apprentice, a lanky boy named Tom, stokes the fire, his face red from effort. The village hums outside, cartwheels creak. Children shout, but your world is this workshop, where every tool and nail you craft binds the community together. Your life is a cycle of fire and metal. You rise before dawn, working 10 hours to meet orders for farmers, carpenters, and the Lord's men. Each piece, whether a hoe or a sword hilt, must be flawless, as the guild's inspectors could fine you for shoddy work. Iron is costly, often bartered for grain or labor, and you salvage scraps to make nails. The physical toll is heavy. Burns scar your arms, and your back aches from hours at the anvil. Breaks are brief, shared with Tom over bread and cheese, where you teach him to temper steel, hoping he'll one day take your place. The village is your lifeline. You trade horseshoes for a neighbor's eggs, or mend a plow for a jug of ale. But trust is fragile. Disputes over prices spark grudges. The Lord's steward demands weapons for the castle, paying late or not at all, while the church takes a tenth of your earnings for its coffers. Life beyond the forge is simple. Your wife tends a small garden, growing leeks and herbs, and your children help with chores, their futures likely tied to the village. Illness looms, a fever swept through last year, sparing your family, but not others. Whispers of opportunity stir. A master smith in York reportedly crafted a sword for a noble, earning a shop in the city. You dream of such a chance, perhaps forging armor for a knight. But the guild's rules and the Lord's demands keep you tethered. The market brings tales of growing trade, where skilled smiths find better pay. As you hammer a glowing rod, sparks flying, you wonder, could a perfect piece or a noble's favor lift you from this grueling routine? Or will the forge's relentless fire forever shape your days? Years of hammering have slowed you. A blacksmith in medieval England, 1300 CE, your hands gnarled and shoulders stiff from decades at the forge. The village still relies on your craft, but a rare opportunity shifts your path. A knight passing through for a tournament commissions a finely wrought sword, impressed by a dagger you made for the Lord. The task is daunting, hours of precise work to balance blade and hilt, but its success earns you coin and a summons to the Lord's castle to repair his knight's armor. A role with steadier pay and less toil. This small rise changes your life. The extra coin lets you buy a new bellows and a piglet for your wife to raise, easing hunger. You train Tom, now a skilled apprentice, to take on more work. His hammer strikes nearly as sure as yours. The village remains your anchor. Neighbors barter grain for nails, and you share ale at harvest feasts. But the guild's fees and the Lord's demands persist. You forge less, focusing on repairs, which spares your body but ties you to the castle's whims. A misforged blade could cost your favor, a reminder of your fragile status. Life beyond the forge is modest but fuller. Your children spared the smithy's heat, help in the garden, or learn basic letters from a monk, a hope for a better trade. The church still claims tithes, but its festivals Michaelmas, with music and meat lift your spirits. Illness threatens. A neighbor succumbs to fever, and you burn herbs to ward it off. The castle work brings you closer to wealth. You see knights in gleaming armor, but you remain a craftsman, your hands scarred by labor. Tales of London's guilds sparked dreams, but the village is your world. As age weakens you, Tom takes over. The forge, his skill, a quiet legacy. Your tools and weapons, scattered across the village and castle, hold the community together, though your name fades. Reflecting by the fire's glow, you see your life as a link in the chain of medieval life, your craft enabling plows to till and swords to defend. The small gains a knight's coin, your son's skill show resilience against the forges. Grind. As you watch Tom shape a horseshoe, his strikes strong, you wonder how many other craftsmen, their lives unrecorded, forged the strength of kingdoms. Story number 12. The endless toil of an ancient Egyptian laborer. Imagine yourself waking before dawn in a mud brick village near Thebes, Egypt, around 1500 BCE, where the air is cool and the Nile's faint rush hums in the distance. You are a laborer, one of thousands building the grand monuments of the new kingdom. Your home is a cramped, reed-roofed hut shared with your family, where you sleep on a woven mat. After a breakfast of barley bread and beer, you don a linen kilt and head to the worksite quarry or construction site for a pharaoh's temple or tomb, carrying a basket for hauling stone or earth. The worksite is a chaotic sprawl under the blazing sun, filled with the clatter of chisels and shouts of overseers. You haul limestone blocks or dig foundation trenches, your hands blistered from ropes and tools. The work is punishing, lifting heavy stones or carrying baskets of rubble. Up ramps, your back straining under the load. Overseers, loyal to the pharaoh, drive you to meet quotas, their whips a threat for slowness. You're part of a corvée system, drafted seasonally from your village to serve the state, leaving your small farm plot to your wife and children as a peasant laborer. Your life is tied to the Nile's rhythms and the pharaoh's will. Your labor builds temples for gods like Amen and tombs for eternity. But you see no reward beyond rations of bread, onions, and beer. The village community, or Elulite group, sustains you. Neighbors share tools and help tend your fields in your absence. Yet life is precarious. Floods or drought can ruin crops, and injuries on the worksite are common. You've seen men crushed by falling stones, their families left destitute. The priests demand offerings for the gods, and you pray at a small shrine for strength and safety. Thebes glitters nearby, its temples gleaming with gold, but your world is mud and sweat. You hear tales of skilled artisans who carve reliefs, earning better rations. But you're a common laborer, your name unrecorded. As you haul another basket of rubble, the sun searing your skin, a question gnaws. Could a moment of favor or a season of abundance ease this grueling toil? Or will the pharaoh's endless projects forever bind you to this labor? The midday heat scorches the quarry near Thebes, and you, an ancient Egyptian laborer in 1500 BCE, pause to sip warm beer from a clay jar, your hands raw from hauling limestone. The worksite buzzes with activity workers, chisel blocks, drag, sledges, and shout warnings as stones shift. You carry baskets of rubble up a ramp to a growing temple, each step a strain on your legs. The overseer, a scribe with a reed pen, tallies your loads, his gaze sharp for any who falter. Dust clings to your sweat-soaked kilt, and the Nile's distant shimmer taunts you with its coolness. Your life is dictated by the corvée, pulling you from your farm to serve the pharaoh's grand visions. Months away, leave your fields of emmer, wheat and barley to your family, who struggle without you. The work is relentless, hauling stones, mixing mud for bricks, or digging canals, leaving your body bruised and weary. Rations are meager, bread, dried fish, and onions, shared with fellow laborers during brief breaks. Injuries are frequent. A friend's arm was broken by a falling block, leaving him unable to work. His family now begging. The village sustains. You neighbors tend your crops or share. Reeds for your roof butt, tensions over water or land spark disputes. The Pharaoh's divine rule overshadows all. Your labor builds his eternal legacy tombs in the valley of the kings. Temples to Amun, but you taste only dust. Priests preach obedience, demanding offerings of grain for the gods, while festivals to Osiris bring rare joy with music and beer. You hear of artisans carving intricate reliefs, their lives slightly easier, but your role is to lift and carry. The Nile's flood cycle rules your farm, but here the overseer's whip sets the pace. A neighbor whispers of a laborer rewarded with extra rations for spotting a flaw in a ramp. A rare kindness. Community binds you. You share songs with a worker, heady, to ease the toil and barter fish for his wife's woven mat. Yet, the empire's demands are unyielding, and a poor harvest could mean hunger. As you haul another basket, the sun unrelenting, you dream of a season when the Nile's flood is perfect, or an overseer's favor grants relief. Could such a momentor, a collective stand, lighten your load, or will the weight of the pharaoh's stones forever crush your spirit? Years of hauling stones have aged you, an ancient Egyptian laborer near Thebes in 1500 BCE. Your body worn, your hands calloused from ropes and dust. The quarry and construction sites remain your reality, but a small break comes unexpectedly. During a temple project, you notice a crack in a limestone block before it's set, saving a costly repair. The overseer, impressed, grants you a season, free from corvée labor, allowing you to tend your farm and store extra grain. It's no grand freedom, but it means fuller meals and a chance to strengthen your hut against floods. This small gain shifts your life. You teach your son to plant wheat, hoping he'll master the fields and avoid the quarry's toll. The village remains your strength. Neighbors help you rebuild an irrigation ditch. When corvée calls again, you haul stones, the sun burning your back. The overseer's favor is fleeting, and a mistake could erase it. Still, the extra grain lets you barter for a new sickle and a linen cloth for your wife. Small comforts in a life of toil. Life beyond the worksite is fragile. A good Nile flood boosts your crops, but disease fells a neighbor, and you offer barley at their shrine for the gods' favor. Festivals to Hathor bring music and dance, a brief escape, but the pharaoh's projects loom. Your children, now helping in the fields, face the same labor, though you teach them to track the Nile's rise, hoping they'll fare better. The empire grows its temples and tombs, awe-inspiring, but you remain a laborer, your name lost to time. A new overseer hints at rewards for steady work, a faint hope as age slows you. Your son takes on more, his strength outpacing yours. The stones you hauled built the pharaoh's eternity, but your story fades into the Nile's silt. Reflecting by a fire, the river's flow, a soft murmur. You see your labor as a brick in Egypt's foundation, your small gains a flicker of resilience. The monuments, raised by countless hands like yours, stand as testaments to the empire, though your life remains unrecorded. As you watch your son tend the fields, his movements sure, you wonder how many other laborers, their struggles buried in the sand, built the glory of civilizations. Story number 13, The unseen struggles of a Roman aqueduct builder. Imagine yourself rising at dawn in a dusty camp near Rome, around 100 CE, where the air smells of earth and the distant Tiber's dampness. You are a laborer building the empire's aqueducts, vital for Rome's water supply. Your home is a shared tent, its canvas worn, where you sleep on a straw mat with other workers. After a breakfast of barley gruel and stale bread, you pull on a rough tunic and sandals, then march to the work site, a stretch of half-built arches marching across the countryside, carrying a shovel and a basket for hauling dirt. The work site is a clamor of picks, shouts, and creaking pulleys as you dig trenches or carry stones for the aqueduct's channel. The labor is brutal, your hands blister from shoveling, and your back aches from lifting limestone blocks under the scorching sun. Overseers, appointed by the emperor's engineers, bark orders, ensuring the precise gradient needed to carry water miles to Rome. You're part of a mixed crew, freeborn freedmen and slaves bound by the empire's need for clean water to supply baths, fountains, and villas. A misstep, like misaligning a stone, delays progress and risks a whipping dot. As a laborer, you're low in Rome's hierarchy, your life tied to the empire's endless projects. Your wages, a few sesterces a week, buy bread and cheap wine, but most goes to rent and debts. The camp is your community. You share stories with a fellow worker, Gaius, over meager meals, but tensions flare over stolen tools or uneven workloads. Life is precarious. Accidents, like falling scaffolding, claim lives, and disease spreads in the crowded camp. You offer a coin to Neptune for safety, praying at a makeshift shrine. Rome's grandeur, its marble forums and bustling streets lies just beyond your reach. But you'll never see its baths fed by your work. The aqueducts are marvels, channeling water across hills, yet your role is to toil, not to marvel. As you haul another basket of earth, sweat stinging your eyes, a question lingers. Could a rare favor from an overseer or a completed project bring relief, or will this backbreaking labor forever bind you to Rome's stones? The midday sun blazes over the Roman countryside, and you, an aqueduct builder in 100 CE, pause to wipe sweat from your brow, your hands caked with dust from digging a trench. The worksite hums with activity workers, stack stones, hoist beams, and shout measurements to maintain the aqueduct's precise slope. You carry heavy limestone blocks to a mason, each step straining your shoulders, while overseers pace, their tablets tracking progress for the emperor's engineers. The heat is relentless, and the coarse tunic chafes your skin, but slowing risks a lash or docked pay. Your life is bound to the empire's ambition. Months spent on the aqueduct pull you from your small farm, where your family struggles to grow barley and olives. Wages are meager, barely enough for bread, lentils, and a shared tent in the camp. The work is unforgiving. You've seen men crushed by falling stones or crippled by a slipped pulley, their families left to beg. The camp is your community. Gaius shares tales of his village over watery wine butt, quarrels over rations or work assignments, spark fights. You trade a day's labor for a neighbor's help with your crops, a fragile bond. Rome's glory depends on your toil. The aqueduct will feed fountains and baths, but you'll never see their splendor. The emperor's name will adorn the finished arches, while yours is forgotten. Religion offers solace. You pray to Jupiter at a small altar, offering a crust of bread for protection. Festivals, like Saturnalia, bring brief joy with songs and shared meals, but the worksite calls you back. You hear of skilled masons earning steady pay in Rome, their lives easier, but you're a laborer, bound to shovel and carry. Whispers of favor circulate. A worker once gained extra rations for spotting a weak foundation, saving a section of the aqueduct. You share such hopes with Gaius, dreaming of a season back on your farm or a kinder overseer. The empire's reach is vast, its roads and cities, thriving on your labor, but your world is dirt and stone. As you heft another block, the dust choking your throat, you wonder, could a moment of recognition or a completed aqueduct grant you respite? Or will the empire's endless demands forever chain you to this toil? Years of toil have worn you down. A Roman aqueduct builder near Rome in 100 CE. Your body scarred from hauling stones and your strength fading. The worksite, with its towering arches, remains your world, but a rare moment alters your path. During a critical phase, you spot a misaligned support beam, preventing a collapse. The overseer, grateful, assigns you to oversee a small crew, a role with lighter labor and extra rations bread, olives, even a scrap of pork. It's no escape from the empire's grip, but it eases the strain, letting you send grain to your family's farm. This small rise brings hope. You teach your son, now old enough to join the worksite, to stack stones carefully, hoping he'll avoid the hardest tasks. The camp remains. Your community Gaius helps you repair a tent, and you share wine during breaks, but the work persists, directing workers under the overseer's watchful eye. A mistake could cost your position, and the emperor's engineers demand perfection. The extra rations let you barter for a new cloak and a tool for your farm. Small steps toward stability. Life beyond the aqueduct is fragile. A fever sweeps the camp, sparing your family but claiming others, and you offer a coin to Asclepius for health. Festivals like Lupercalia bring laughter and feasts, but the worksite's demands return. Your son, learning your trade, faces the same toil, though you teach him to read basic tallies, hoping he'll rise higher. Rome's baths and forums, fed by your aqueduct, gleam in the distance, but you remain a laborer, your name unrecorded. A new overseer hints at further rewards for steady work, a faint promise. As age slows you, your son takes on more, his hands stronger than yours. The aqueducts you built sustain Rome's grandeur, but your story fades into the dust. Reflecting by a campfire, the Tibers murmur nearby. You see your labor as a stone in the empire's foundation, your small gains a testament to endurance. The arches, raised by countless hands like yours, will stand for centuries, though your life remains untold. As you watch your son align a block, his movements precise, you wonder how many other laborers, their struggles forgotten, built the lifelines of empires. Story number 14, the harsh life of a Viking shipwright. Imagine yourself waking in the pre-dawn chill of a coastal village in Scandinavia, around 900 CE, where the air smells of salt and pine. You are a Viking shipwright, a skilled craftsman, building the longships that carry warriors and traders across seas. Your home is a timber longhouse with a sod roof, shared with your family, where you sleep on a bench covered with furs. After a breakfast of porridge and dried fish, you don a wool tunic and boots, then head to the shipyard by the fjord, axe and adze slung over your shoulder. As the first light glints off the water, the shipyard is a hive of activity. Saws, rasp, hammers, thud, and the scent of fresh-cut oak fills the air. You shape planks for a new longship, your hands steady as you carve curves to withstand the North Sea's waves. The work is grueling. Splinters pierce your skin and your arms ache from hewing logs. The ship for a raid, and his overseer ensures every plank is perfect. You work with a small crew, including your apprentice, a young kinsman, learning to split timber, but a single flaw could sink the ship. Hold a valued role in Viking society, your craft enabling exploration and conquest. Your pay, bartered goods like grain or silver, sustains your family, but the work is seasonal, leaving lean months. The village is your world. You trade labor for a neighbor's wool or help repair a boat for mead. Life is harsh. Storms or failed raids threaten the village, and you pray to Thor for strength, offering a carved token at a wooden shrine. Illness, like fever, stalks the young, and you've buried a child, a wound that lingers. The fjord leads to tales of distant lands, England's riches, Byzantium's markets, but your life is bound to the shipyard, to glory, but you stay behind, shaping their means of conquest. As you smooth a plank, the wind carrying salt and sawdust, a question gnaws. Could a masterful ship or a jarl's favor elevate your standing, or will the endless labor of building vessels forever? The midday sun casts shadows across the shipyard by the fjord, and you, a Viking shipwright in 900 CE, pause to drink from a horn of water, your hands rough from shaping oak planks. Of carving and fitting lie ahead. The work is relentless. Your shoulders burn from swinging in adze, and sawdust clogs your throat. The jarl's overseer prowls, inspecting joints, demanding flawless work for the raid to come. Your apprentice, Bjorn, hammers, pegs, learning slowly, and you correct his cuts, knowing a weak hull could doom a crew. Your life revolves around the shipyard's rhythm. You work from dawn to dusk when timber is plentiful, crafting ships that carry Vikings to fame or death. The labor is skilled but draining. A slipped tool can gash your hand, and winter's chill makes splitting wood harder. Payment comes in barley, wool, or a rare silver coin, barely enough for your family's needs. The village sustains you. Neighbor trade fish for your repairs, and you join them in mending nets, but disputes over resources spark tensions. A recent argument over timber led to a fistfight, settled by the jarl's judgment. Beyond the shipyard, life is rugged. Your wife weaves cloth, your children gather driftwood, their futures tied to the village. Storms or poor fishing seasons threaten hunger, and disease fells the weak. Bjorn's sister coughs worryingly. Too injured for calm seas, and join feasts at the equinox, where mead and sagas lift spirits. Tales of raids reach you. Ships you built plundering foreign shores, but you'll never sail. The jarl's hall, with its carved beams, is built on your craft, yet you remain a worker, not a warrior. Hope flickers in small ways. A shipwright once earned the jarl's favor with a swift, sturdy vessel, gaining land to farm. You share such dreams with a fellow craftsman, Eric, over smoked herring, imagining a ship that wins you a steadier life. The Viking world thrives on your ships, but your name stays unknown. Could a perfect longship or a rare reward lift you from this toil? Or will the shipyard's endless demands forever bind you to its wood? Years of carving would have weathered you, a Viking shipwright in Scandinavia. 900 CE, your hands scarred and back stooped from shaping longships. The shipyard remains your world, its air thick with sawdust, but a rare chance shifts your path. A longship you crafted, swift and sturdy, returns from a successful raid, earning the Jarl's praise. He grants you a small plot of land near the fjord, free from tribute for a season, and a role overseeing ship repairs. Lighter work with better payfish, wool, even a silver arm ring. It's no warrior's glory, but it eases your family's hunger. This gain changes your routine. You teach Bjorn, now a skilled apprentice, to craft keels, hoping he'll rise higher in the trade. The village sustains you, Eric, helps clear your new plot, and you share mead at harvest feasts, but the Jarl's demands persist. You repair ships, ensuring watertight hulls, but a flawed repair could sink your favor. The extra goods let you barter for a new axe and a cloak for your wife, small comforts. The village buzzes with tales of distant raids, your ships carrying warriors to fame, but you remain a craftsman tied to the fjord. Life beyond the shipyard is harsh. A storm threatens crops, and illness claims Eric's daughter, a loss you honor with a carved rune for her spirit. Feasts to Freya bring drums and laughter, but work resumes at dawn. Your children, learning to fish and weave, face the same toil, though you teach them to read runes, hoping for a better path. The Viking world grows, your ships reach England and beyond, but you stay behind, your name unrecorded. A new less harsh, hints at further rewards for skilled work, a faint hope. As age slows you, Bjorn takes over, his hands deft with the adze. Your ships, sailing far, enable Viking conquests, but your story fades into the fjord's mist, reflecting by the fire, waves crashing nearby. You see your labor as a plank in the Viking age, your small gains a spark of resilience. The long built by countless hands like yours, carried an era, though your life remains untold. As you watch Bjorn shape a hull, his cuts precise, you wonder how many other craftsmen, their struggles lost to the sea, built the vessels of history. Story number 15, the weary path of a Mesopotamian brickmaker. Imagine yourself rising at dawn in a sun-baked village near your Mesopotamia around 2000 BCE, where the air carries the scent of mud and reeds from the Euphrates. You are a brickmaker, crafting the mud bricks that build the city's ziggurats and houses. Your home is a small, reed-roofed hut shared with your family, where you sleep on a packed earth floor. After a breakfast of barley, flatbread, and dates, you don a linen kilt and head to the riverbank worksite, carrying a wooden mold and a basket for mixing clay. The worksite hums with labor workers knead mud with straw, shaping bricks under the scorching sun. The work is exhausting, your hands cracked from wet clay, and your back aches from hauling baskets. Overseers, serving the temple priests, demand high quotas to supply yours growing temples and walls. A cracked brick or slow pace risks a scolding or less grain for your labor. Bricks to kilns. As a brickmaker, you're a humble cog in Mesopotamia's urban machine. Your bricks forming the city's heart. Your pay-bartered grain or beer barely feeds your family, leaving little for more. The village is your world. Neighbors share reeds or help dig clay, but disputes over water access flare. Life is fragile. Floods can ruin crops, and injuries from heavy loads are common. You offer barley to Enlil at a small shrine, praying for health and rain. The temple looms over its priests wealthy, but your life is mud and toil.